everybody. It is Thursday. It is I, your host, Miss B the Cat, your interdimensional space buddy and tour guide. And today is the 313 portal. Also, it's going to be an eclipse in a full moon. It's going to be a blood moon. What is going on in your world today? Because in my world, there's all kinds of things happening. Today, as always, we have my beautiful, amazing, wonderful co-host, Halib, and we have our beautiful, wonderful, amazing guest, Nikki from Third Eye Consultations on YouTube. She is an intuitive reader. She is a mom and a grandmother and a badass. I'm just going to put it out there. She has a fantastic tarot reading channel on YouTube, and we're very excited to have her on. And hello, everybody. Welcome. How are you today?
Doing amazing. I have really enjoyed so far. The energy is awesome. Oh my God, I love the energy. I love
Yay.
you are
It's
so
been
so my niece is sitting over here listening to you guys as well. So this is an awesome
awesome.
time.
This is exciting. I'm excited. I am magnanimous, and we are here to
Yes.
share the world, share with the world you and everything you have to offer. We really will get people to come check out your YouTube and also check out your consultations that you actually do. That
Mhm.
you're actively out here helping people and guiding them through their life and their tough times and helping them through some of the darkness, which is really amazing. And anytime we get to spotlight people that are doing that and that's contributing to the greater good of things, it's just like, let's go.
Hey, I am ready to go for this. I mean, this is what I love to do. I love helping people. I want to see people mentally healed, spiritually healed, physically healed, emotionally healed, and financially healed. And I want to see people where they're spiritually yoked with the people that they're meant to be with.
Mm. And so, how did
That's
you get
awesome.
started with the consultation? Like, first of all, tell us a little about your consultation business that you have. What are some of the things you do with it to help people? And how did you get that started?
Okay. Initially, I wasn't under Third Eye Consultations. I started out as Ascended Twin. And
Oh, cool.
I am what you call a twin flame divine feminine. So the first process of healing is healing yourself. So over a period of time, I learned that, like she's saying, I'm an oracle. But as time evolved and I evolved through my healing journey, I started recognizing certain things about myself, certain aspects about myself. And my guides were connecting me to all of this. So,
Mm,
in the process of being connected to it, I was like, I'm not just a reader, because some people learn to read tarot, other people are gifted with tarot.
mm,
And I was gifted with tarot. So I realized that I had evolved from just being a high priestess in training, more of an oracle, a seer. So, as an oracle and a seer, I'm like, I give advice, I express knowledge of things that are divinely guided.
mm,
So, with that being said, I was like, I spend so much of my time counseling and talking to people for various different spiritual purposes and reasons. um, Most people are not aware that everything in the spiritual realm operates this material realm. So they have it backwards. And some people are
mm,
not aware of how connected this realm is to the spiritual realm, because that is what governs it. So I was like, let me change my name. Um, I'm more of a spiritual advisor, healer, teacher, and counselor. So that's where I came in with Third Eye Consultations. And
mm.
as you can see, the knot that is on my forehead, I was kissed by an angel, and I was going through a difficult time in my life. And that people say is actually my third eye, because with my third eye, they say it blinks at them, it watches them, and it blinks.
Wow.
Yes, I've had multiple people tell me that. So, with that being said, um, I learned that I spent so much time giving so much information to people throughout the years I've been living. And I was just like, it makes sense to just tell people what services that I offer. He's more scared of you than you scared of him. There is the spiritual guidance for healing herbs. I have various different options that I offer. I'm adding right now, I'm studying another service that I will be able to provide. But I offer about, I want to say maybe 12 different levels of service. As if you need to know what type of crystals that you need, I can, you know, give you information about your crystals, its history, its origin, why it's acclimated more for you to use that in your healing modalities on a day-to-day basis. If you are looking for herbs for spiritual healing, cleansing, and they will give me the best herbs that are used for holistic healing.
That's awesome.
If you are dealing with crime, which I specialize in. Excuse me for 1 second, guys.
No problem. That's really wonderful because I'm really glad that she brought up like the crystals and herbs because um I don't talk about it as much right now just because I've things have been so up in the air for me and I've been out of state and stuff. But my mom and I actually are trying to get into some herbalism and I have a lot of crystals and I make little spell jars. And I put crystals in it that people need and I'll layer it and stuff and I'll make spell jars with different salts and herbs and stuff. And they're like little like small jars so that people can carry them in their purse or their pocket or the car or put it on their desk at work or something. I would love to sit down with you on another day and maybe do a collaboration of like some little spell jars or something. That would be really cool and be able to just kind of like share some of your service with some of the folks that come to our website. That would be that's awesome. I love that.
I'm in the process now of creating an herbal deck now.
That's so cool. Oh wow, like your own herbal like oracle like tarot deck. Oh my gosh, I was just talking to Solaris about this a few weeks ago.
Right there. That's ingenious right there. That's so awesome. Because I've seen a lot of different type of decks. You know, my favorite deck is her Lord of the Rings deck because I'm a big nerd, you know, so I really like the Lord of the Rings deck. But I've seen a lot of different decks, but I've never seen one based on herbs. That's
Solaris and I actually were just talking about I think she has an herbalism tarot deck or an oracle deck. I can't remember which one she said.
You just don't, I'm sorry. There are herbal out, but you just don't see them as much. But people have to understand that's another part of the healing modality as well. Because as you're transitioning out, your diet may change. There may be certain things that irritate you. You may not be able to sleep well at night. There could be other things that you might be under some level of spiritual attack. And most of us, unfortunately, are, but it is the healing of your subconscious mind for the most part. So then there may be issues with your health. I'm not a prescribed doctor or any of that, or a licensed practicing herbalist, but as what I'm given to by my spirit guides, I give to my clients and I tell them, because I'll even take you through the process of reading as to what these herbs do. And most of my clientele, I've never had a client yet tell me that the herbs that I have prescribed for them are not something that is needed.
I have a question for you, though, based off what you were just saying, right? People there, depending on who you speak to, you're going to get another interpretation of spiritual attack.
Yes.
Right. So I would love to know what your definition and take of what you're saying spiritual attacks are.
Spiritual.
I believe in spirit. Before you go, I'm sorry. I believe in spiritual attacks. I think that is something that it's not a belief. It's something that I've researched, studied, experienced from my own experiences and understanding the root cause of what it came from. I know that spiritual attacks is something that does exist, right? at the same time, it's sort of like me and B talk with some people about like magic. And we have to ask them what's their definition of it, because depending on who you're speaking to, that definition changes. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Correct. Like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so I was just going to say, so please share with us your definition of spiritual attack and how it manifests itself through your definition.
Most people have started in life under spiritual attack. Words or spells. That's your first form of attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Residual magic.
Uh-huh. So you have people that can either build you or destroy you. And now that is psychologically programmed in your subconscious mind, which is the seat of the soul. So with that being said, you have to do a psychological cleanse, a spiritual cleanse, in order to remove the toxic belief patterns that we have. We have over 180 to 200,000 thoughts a day. How many thoughts are actually positive based off of your programming of what you have been programmed to believe?
Hey, can I add in on that fact?
Go
Because
for it.
it's the neuroscience. I talk about this a lot. This is my whole shtick. I'm so amazed that, remember, we've never spoke before.
Right.
This is our first time ever interacting with, and some of this you've never said on the YouTube. You know, you're usually dialed into it, whatever topic you're on. You know, but I just have to say that on top of having 80,000 thoughts on average a day, you carry 90% of those thoughts over the next day.
That you do. Exactly.
Right.
I tell people that
So,
believe it or not, I do tell people that on the live sometimes. Sometimes, like after we finish with a live, I'll stay on for a while, and you'll notice that all of a sudden, where it should have been maybe max an hour long live, it turns into a 6-7 hour live. That's because I'm sitting in there talking with people who are actually willing to talk. So
Mm-hmm.
we joke, we clown. Oh my God, we did nothing last night but a whole video, because when I realized that someone had got into my Skype account, I had to hurry up and recreate a new Skype account so I could jump on with you guys today. So I was like, okay, so I've been hacked. And, it just went off from there. But what I do know about spiritual attack, it is forces unseen. Based off when we start with word spells, sigils, people believe what they're taught. The programming becomes very, especially if you're fed a daily diet of it.
mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
now believe what somebody else's perception of you is. And now you adopt that perception as your own.
Mm-hmm. Through
So that,
repetition, repetition,
yeah,
pattern, and that creates habit. And habit creates behavior, and behavior creates mood.
exactly. So when you sit up there and somebody is fed a consistent diet of toxic behavior patterns, and who are the first people that we learn our behaviors from? It's our family.
Mm-hmm.
It's our
Yep.
family. It's our friends. It's the schools, the teachers, whatever we're around, and we're like sponges, because kids, they love to absorb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They soak up so much knowledge, whether it's positive or it's negative or it's neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So over a period of time, if you spend your time around a lot of dense negative energy, you're going to show up like that in life based off of where you have been. And sometimes you're going to do either one or two. You are going to be so detached and emotionally unavailable, or either you're going to be extremely angry, very aggressive, sometimes very hostile, or you are just somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are not aware that they are carrying trauma. They know things are not right. Like, yeah, I grew up in a fucked up environment, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. But you know, until they get outside of their comfort zone and they're around different people that are on a higher frequency, maybe not a whole lot, but just a little higher than
Yeah.
theirs,
Mm-hmm.
they notice
We
something is not
normalize
right.
it. You know,
Hmm.
that's the part of the human conditioning, is that we can normalize things and turn it into something that's normal. And unfortunately, the way the ego and the mind works, it's going to keep you in the familiar because you're familiar with it, no matter how
Yep.
negative it may appear. If it's something you've already established a norm to, it's not gonna try to break you out of it. It's gonna do everything to keep you in it. You know. And I
Exactly.
just find the fact, yo, B, I gotta get your take on what she's saying right now. I really, I want to, because this is next level right here. You came with all of the smoke right now. I'm telling you, everything you saying right now is got me. You see the smile on my face? It's
Hmm.
unbelievable right now. I'm blown away. Listen, it's all everything you're saying is true. It's true. And you
I
use
was
the.
just
Go ahead, B. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was gonna say, this is one of those shows where I really wish my dad and my grandparents were listening, because I just had almost verbatim everything you just said. I've been having conversations with them this week about, and I've been talking to my dad about it. And I actually just talked to my I call him my little brother. We're not blood related, but we grew up together. But my second pseudo brother, he's probably the most successful in the family. He's able to kind of like move some stuff around. But we just talked a couple days ago about how you are who you surround yourself with. You
Yes.
are your closest five friends. You know, you are your closest five family, and it's been really struggling. It's been a struggle for me, being really isolated from a lot of my friends because everyone I'm connected to most is through the internet or, you know, texting and calling. Otherwise, like the only close person to me is my mom and then our roommate and some of our, you know, coworkers. And we're in a really toxic environment, and it's making it really difficult for us to move forward in the things that we want to do because we feel like we're stuck in this sort of like sludgy environment. And being up here in Montana has been nice for me because the environment itself is different. And it's so crazy. We're talking about this. I can feel energy shifting, and there's this crazy wind that just like came up and like is shaking the trees outside right now.
Mhm.
And it was just like I can feel the energy like come through the house too. And it's just like I love moments like this. But yeah, it is like that. Like I've been talking to my family about like toxicity, and like I have a couple of relatives that are super toxic, and they're super just, I don't know. They have partners, I believe, that came into their lives that made them toxic. I don't know that they would have been without this person. Maybe they would. I don't know. I don't know them to be the way that they are right now. But you know, when you bring in a partner, you know, a romantic partner, and you get married and have kids and stuff, like that is a close exchange of energy. Those are the people you're closest to in that moment. And that's how you carry things out, and that's how, you know, the world sort of forms around you. And so if you don't have healthy relationships with people that you can connect to, you're going to be stuck in these cycles. And my family is in between, where like some of us are really close and others aren't. And my dad has moved up here to be close to the family, and he's recognizing like a bunch of stuff that really affected him growing up that he's really starting to process now in his 50 some years of existence. And he's kind of like, he's still really mad about some of it, but he hasn't been able to like work through it because my grandmother's not acknowledging a lot of it. She doesn't want to talk about it, or she feels that he's misremembering because she doesn't remember it that way. And something along the lines of, you know, your first memories and the way that you think about things. Like if your parents are your first interaction, right? And say, you know, your parents or your grandparents, whoever your guardian is, whoever you're raised by, how they talk to you is often perceived as like, you know, who is your first bully? Usually it's someone's parents. Usually it's somebody, you know, it's their grandparents or like, you know, an aunt or uncle, but oftentimes it's our
I never
parents, and our
thought
parents
about
don't
it
even
like that.
realize it.
I
Yeah,
never
like
thought about it like a bully. Like, yo, no, no, no. When I
yeah.
think about like, no,
But
they were sort of bullies.
there, what she's saying is so factual,
Hmm.
because your first person that you are supposed to receive the unconditional love from does not understand what unconditional love is. I just
Mhm.
explained to a group of people a while back here, maybe about 2 weeks ago. We are currently two, maybe three generations out of slavery.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about just the people that experience, whose ancestors or descendants were under slavery. I'm talking about the people that enabled slavery, as well as the people that endured the slavery.
Yep.
That psychological programming still exists.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Oh, absolutely.
a divisionary. Um,
Tool.
it is. It's a horrible tool that needs to be disassembled and broken. We are experiencing so many levels of trauma, and at one point in time, every race on this planet has been enslaved.
Right.
So the mentality is still here. The traumas are still here that came from the hurt, the torture, the deaths, the devastations, the loss. And we're all trying to evolve from that are willing and wanting to evolve. What you were saying with your father, it was his time to wake up and start becoming consciously aware of his patterns, his
Yep.
contributions to his life and others' lives, and what has he contributed in his lifetime. And he is starting to become honestly aware that he did not like the way he was raised. Your grandmother is not wanting to take accountability and responsibility for the choices and the actions because she feels like she's being judged and blamed. So in the
Yep.
process of going through that, he is going to be met with a lot of resistance. She is going to deflect a lot, and it's a narcissistic attack.
That's what I said verbatim. That's what I've been saying. And I'm like, and it's
You are
not
so
even
on. You are so.
she is so in tune. I love this. Yeah, no, like verbatim. That's what I was saying. I was like, I don't know that my grandmother is a narcissist. I know that she has narcissistic tendencies. I know that both my parents have narcissistic tendencies. On my mom's side, at least, I can verify that her parents weren't the narcissist, but my mom grew up around a lot of narcissists and was abused and bullied well into just a few years ago about being surrounded by narcissists and people who were really abusive emotionally and were really neglectful and physically too. And it was, we fought really hard to get away from a lot of that. And if I hadn't woken up at a younger age and realized I'm not okay with this, I don't want this, I'm not going to welcome this, I wouldn't have been able to share that strength with my mom. I wouldn't have been able to share that strength with some of my friends. And it's just growing up surrounded by those things, it's easier to point out for some people. But a lot of people don't know that
Well,
we are projecting a lot of narcissistic tendencies that come from other parasitic encounters with people. And like that's one of the things a lot of family members don't realize is you may not be a narcissist, but
No,
you can have tendencies that affect everyone.
most of us, everyone carries narcissistic traits, right?
it's part of human psychology. We have to have
Exactly.
Yeah,
it.
and
It's
America
just when it
is
becomes
narcissistic.
dominant, when it becomes the dominant part of the character or the personality, this is when you're talking about grandular narcissism, right? There are
Right,
different diagnosed. This is why a person has to be diagnosed as a narcissist because
Correct.
right,
because some people are sociopaths.
right,
Thank you.
and that's the difference. That's the difference.
But you
Most people are
got it.
not sociopaths. Most
No,
people are emotionally targeted by people in their lives who might actually be sociopaths. But a
Hmm.
lot of us, we carry that and we don't realize it. I went through therapy to deal with mine for
you can
years.
run into someone that is a severe paranoid schizophrenic and misdiagnose them as a
Yeah,
psychopath, as a narcissist.
right.
Every mental disorder has the ability to be healed. That's one. And I know this sounds a little off the beaten track because just like pharmaceutical giants, they don't want to lose their business.
Mhm.
If you take a psychiatrist out of their business, who's going to pay them? So at the end of the day, the only thing that is
Do you want me to
capable,
move downstairs?
the thing that can heal a narcissist is
Okay.
God's source.
Three.
God.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, I can move now if you
And
need me to.
most narcissists in
Okay.
this lifetime are not always going to be healed because some of that is the actual karma for where you may have walked multiple lifetimes and behave the same way. This lifetime, you're given an opportunity for redemption. If you choose not to walk the path of healing, then you have another judgment to deal with, and that is between you and God Source.
Yes, absolutely.
God Source is the healer of all ages. Your body was so beautifully designed to where it has the ability to heal mind, body, spirit, soul. But you have to choose to want to heal. You have to acknowledge that you are suffering, that you're in some level of pain. You've experienced some level of trauma, and you have to want to actively work on healing those traumas. Will you be 100% healed? Hell no. Fuck no. But what you will be is as close to you will ever be. You all right, mama? Oh. Sorry, y'all. That's my great baby.
It's okay. I know. I just realized my computer didn't mute while my grandma came over, so I apologize for that too. I was gonna say I love the like actual organic interactions that we're having as people too, because I feel like sometimes people forget that like we're real people in our real lives, like having these experiences and interactions constantly.
It's called life. And you know, society has given us one hell of a programming dynamic to not be consciously aware of.
Yep.
So with that being said, we want to make everything look pristine. We want everything to be perfect. We want to line everything up the way that we have been programmed to believe that's the way life is. And it's not. So when something steps outside of your normal order, you want to OCD it. You want to
absolutely
alignment because it doesn't fit your paradigm.
Right.
And you're constantly shifting and evolving unless you choose to stay stagnant. So everybody is on a different timeline as far as how they want to heal, what they want to heal for. And it is going to be up to you to be consciously aware of when you are running into someone that is not prepared to heal. They may not even be aware that they need to heal.
Yep, so, that's how a lot of my family has been. I bring it up and they're like, "What are you talking about? I'm fine." And it's like,
they don't see it. They don't see it. That's because they're still unenlightened. They're not awake. They're still asleep. So when you deal with a person that's still asleep, the only thing that you can do is continue to be you, put some distance between you so you are able to protect your peace, your emotional sanity, your spiritual peace. Because narcissists are notorious for attacking empaths.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the one thing they cannot handle is if you're an empath and a narcissist, like a true deep narcissist finds you, their whole mission in life is to absolutely tear you down and take everything from you. And a lot of people, when they're faced with that and don't recognize it immediately till it's in your face, like almost violently, that's when people are like, "Oh, what is wrong with you?" And it's like they're feeding off of you. And they feed off of empaths because they cannot be empathetic. It is not.
I just got finished explaining this to a lady that I met where I used to live in Florida. And I said, "Honey, you are dealing with a full-blown covert narcissist."
Those are the worst.
Yes. I said,
just be out with your narcissism.
You get blindsided by covert narcissists. You don't see them coming. They tell you exactly what you want to hear, never giving you what you actually need.
Right.
And hang on, guys.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. I was doing some research a few years ago for a friend of mine who was in a relationship, and I didn't know that there was such a thing for a long time about a covert narcissist. And it turns out a large majority of my relationships romantically were with covert narcissists. Like, you don't realize it sometimes. Like, some of them, they're not even doing it to be malicious. They just are like that.
Well,
And it's harder when they're not trying to be malicious than when someone's outright awful to you. Like, once it hits, once that mask comes off, it's a whole different ball game.
well,
Whole different ball game.
I actually went to therapy for it, like in hypnotherapy
Mm-hmm.
and everything, actual for that particular situation, So I think I know quite a lot about that. You know what I'm saying? I know nowadays it's thrown around very recklessly.
Yes, it is. I
Very
absolutely
recklessly.
agree.
There are just such thing as, messed up people. Not every messed up person is a narcissist. You know what I mean?
No, they are.
But there are some really messed up people in the world too. They're just
People.
not good people, and they have some real twisted ways at how they view reality. They're not narcissists because a narcissist is somebody that needs a constant supply of emotional investment, no matter if it's negative or positive. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, that's the
triangle.
Yeah, and they always have a backup supply.
Always.
Because and they get worse as they get older because the duration of time that they take you through the love bombing phase, the where they start the humiliation ritual, where they start you're not good enough, nothing you do is good enough, and then the third phase is called discard. That's where they stop talking to you, they cut you off. This is literally what you learn when you have to go. Most people who are in narcissist relationships who escape it, they do not get out okay.
No, they don't.
Right.
People end up destroyed, unable to function, and there have been many cases where people have off themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
But media has turned it into this big thing where it's very popular to say, and nobody want to go do the work. Meaning, go learn the actual terminology and know why they say this and understand the variations of this, and so you can stop calling everybody who does something you don't like a narcissist.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. I want to step in on what you just said. A lot of people do. Sir.
But that's not to say about your situation. Your situation has already been proven. We already established this through, you know what I mean? Qualified methods. But I'm just speaking in general because it is a thing that's.
No, you're absolutely right. If somebody says something or you don't like, oh, you're a narcissist. No, the hell you're not. That doesn't make you a narcissist. It just means your ass is triggered. That's what it means.
Right.
You didn't
exactly.
like what said to you. So take accountability and responsibility for whatever it is that caused you to be triggered. And see, that's the catch that most people that are unhealed do not want to take responsibility for. They will quickly project or deflect very quickly on you in order to take the heat off of their asses. And I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm not your whipping post.
Exactly.
If you got issues, those are your issues, my love. Work with them. Deal with them. Marinate them and understand why it's affecting you the way it's affecting you. Because I've seen worse done to people than what's been said to you, but yet it triggers.
Right.
And you know what? A trigger is your trigger. I noticed we're in a society today where people be like, oh, you shouldn't say that because it triggers me. Like, I'm not responsible for your emotional state. As a full adult, you should be in complete. This is why I tell, look, your emotions are not there to lead you. They are there to inform you.
Thank you.
They're not there to guide you. They're there to inform you of what type of situation you're in so that you can now, being the creator of your experience, make sense out of it and make it into something that works for you.
And this is what I try to explain when we are not in the live. Sometimes I'll go in it while I'm reading and break down certain things to people so they do have some semblance of understanding of why I'm saying it, and I'm stopping the tarot reading to address you or address something that I see in the reading that needs to be addressed to that collective of who I'm reading to. But realistically, most people are going to be in denial. Let's be clear.
Right. Yeah.
Most people are going to shy away. And like you said, that's your self-esteem that needs to be evolved into a healthier state of being. That is also your own consciousness that needs to be informed. Since you're not informing it, that something needs to change. You ask yourself, why is this affecting me based off of what someone said, based off of what someone else did? I have no control over another person's behavior, but it is my reaction that determines whether or not I enable you to continue to try to trigger me for something that I am not responsible for. All because I spoke my truth, but that's not your perception of truth.
Right. Exactly.
So,
Ooh, oh my gosh. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. I was feeling it in the air this morning. I was like, boy, I feel like I can just see how some of the conversation is going to go today, and it's going exactly how I anticipated in the best way. These are things that I know some people talk about it a lot, but a lot of it is really just misaligned therapy speak. And a lot of people just don't understand that they are misinformed by social media. They don't do their own research. And a lot of people live in these weird online echo chambers without doing any of the personal work. And it's just so crazy that they throw these words around and then act like it's everyone else's responsibility to take care of them and their feelings. And it's like, it's not. It's you're a big kid. Put your big kid pants on. Be an adult. Like, we're all adults here. Like, we are all human beings having human experiences. And if you can't at least be empathetic with someone else's experience, take responsibility for your own. And that's all you can ask of people, is just be responsible for your actions and how you just be considerate. And that's one of the things, is consideration.
I tell people all the time, this world lacks empathy and compassion. And the reason I say that is because when you have been programmed to lack empathy for yourself, or compassion for yourself, you do not know how to express it for yourself or to others, that empathy or compassion. Elon Musk just said recently that empathy is a weakness.
Saw that.
And I challenge to disagree.
Don't let Solaris.
Oh my God, Solaris has so many feelings on all of that too, because every time Elon Musk comes up, she is ready to rip him apart. And I think we all should be, honestly.
That's because, it's funny, because if you go do the research and you go research why schools, and you mentioned some earlier too about the trauma and slavery. Like, my grandfather and his father, my great grandmother, they were born in the 1800s, right? Like, they were back, like, I'm not 6 generations away from it.
We're not.
And one of the major things that they did, they don't talk about, was, one is, we was prisoners of war. They don't tell you about the reclassification of us that happened over and over and over again. But if you go back, you're going to find out that the indigenous Aboriginal American Indians were the Negroes.
That's my shit right there.
Then they changed our name again, right? They reclassified us like multiple times.
His name was Plecker. The man's name was Plecker. Plecker went in and he was, what do you call those people? A census. He worked
1790.
And he turned around and he changed us for Aboriginal indigenous people of this land. We were never African. We were all the natural indigenous American Indian. The Native American Indians that call themselves Native American Indians are nothing but Mongoloid Asiatics that came in through the Bering Strait.
Wait. Let me just throw this in there before you go too far with the Native American. Remember, that came from the Know-Nothings,
Thank you.
which was
We
a
call them back
political
known
group
as the
of
$5.
Protestants that wanted to separate themselves from the Catholic Church.
Thank you.
They created the term we call Native Americans. That's what they called themselves.
Thank
This
you.
got adapted to the Mongoloids and various other tribes that came in and assisted with the colonization and divvying up of the land when they took the government. Our issue comes in, right, with them taking our children and putting them into colloquial educational re-education facilities. Okay,
Correct. Correct.
that's where our
Residential
issues
schools and
come in.
stuff.
We didn't call ourselves African American in
No.
America until Jesse Jackson.
Thank you.
That was his campaign slogan.
But he was sent in as a part of the programming.
Right, because people like, remember the Middle Passage, this is all coming from Melville Horowitz. You see, he's the creator of that, along with W.D. Du Bois and,
Yeah.
and Benjamin Rush. These are the people that came in and said, this is how we have to reclassify them and make them from somewhere they don't even come from.
Thank you.
Right? So when you're looking at what they call Black trauma, it don't come from, because what we have an issue of is not slavery per se. We have an issue with intellectual property theft.
Thank you.
They have stolen all the patents for the stuff we have created.
Hold on. We don't even know our own culture. We don't even know our own history. We don't know our own language. We do not know our original names. We were given the names of the surnames of the people that were the slave owners to us. My grandmother used to pick cotton. So I'm only 2 generations considered out of slavery. So I understand on that behalf. There has been so much psychological trauma. I called in one of my readings, right quick, the alligator farm, not for what the gentleman came in and told me to look it up. I said, honey, I know the history. I said, because my ancestors give me the history. Understand that. And I have a Bible in here that goes back into the 1800s. Yeah, so let's not play that. So when you talk to me about alligator farm, I am a spiritual detective. That's what I specialize in. Exposing crime on a global scale. That's my actual gift when I pick up those tarot cards. But I read for a group of collective of people that are involved in that. But back to what I was saying, as far as when I used the term alligator farm, I said this is where they're taking people to erase them so they are not found. There's no, we can't find that person. They're a missing person at this point. So they may be caught up in a crime, but you have no body. So he was talking about alligator farms, and I know the derogatory statement of alligator farms because back in slavery days, they used to use children as bait for alligators.
Terrible.
And all of those children did not survive in order for them to have their alligator shoes, their alligator belts, purses.
Sometimes they did it for fun.
Yes, they did. Absolutely.
Remember where picnic came from?
Excuse me?
Remember where picnic came from?
Yes, pick a nigger. I'm gonna call it for what it is.
Thank you. And then have a festival around his burning corpse while you take pictures and eat meals. This is the
Absolutely
real
horrific.
America that everybody tries to pretend happened thousands of years ago.
Hold on. They don't even want us to acknowledge the level of trauma that has been our trauma for generations now. They will, and this is no disrespect to you, Chloe, because I'm not racist, honey. Because no soul, just because it's underneath a white skin, makes it a white soul. We have
such thing.
I could be the skin tone that I am, but I could have an Asian soul up underneath this skin tone. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So when people say certain things, they try to deflect against what they don't want to see. And that is heartbreaking. It is traumatizing because you don't want to relive what these people are experiencing, but yet that is still another form of trauma by
Right.
not to acknowledge or take the accountability of what your ancestors participated in,
Mm-hmm.
how they were able to, and not just because all white people were not free people either. White is not even a race; it is a
That
class.
Thank you.
it didn't
Yep.
exist
A
until
class.
the 1680s.
In 1492, there was no such thing as race. We were all classified as the same
Mm-hmm.
until, just like Talib said, they came in to separate free people from enslaved people. That's where class came from.
Because remember,
Yep.
Where you
Greece
said
was all
white,
mixed. The whole
because
land was
everybody
mixed.
was exactly
It was
mixed.
like New York City. Everybody, all cultures was there. It was a popping place, right? They bleached the statues.
Hold on. The Statue of Liberty. Do you guys know
Yep.
what's at the bottom of her feet on the base of her stand?
Chains.
Thank you.
Did not realize that. What?
Yes.
What?
I'm from New York.
Excuse me?
I'm from New
Excuse
York.
me?
I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, so we ought to say,
Wow.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness, we coming up on the end of the first hour
You
already.
took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say we got minutes before we go to break, so I don't want to get too deep into conversation, have to cut it off abruptly before the music hits. But
I'm
I'm
enjoying
I'm
this.
really glad that we're having. I'm so glad you're able to join us today. This has been really enlightening and really really awesome. Talib and I have had conversations almost exactly on this caliber. I don't know how many times over the last year plus,
Uh,
and I feel like people are talking about it a lot more now. I'm seeing it a lot more common on social media, at least, but I'm really glad to have more people engaged in these kinds of conversations, and for you to have the ability to share your experience and your ancestry. And like, you're right, it is only like 2 generations removed from some slavery. Like, there are some people who seem to think that some of that happened like 2, 4, 500 years ago, and it's like, no, it literally just happened. Like, there are still people. It's like saying the Holocaust happened, 200 years ago. And it's like, nah, dude, they're like, there's survivors that are,
say
aged
something.
up now, but there are still people who are like, I remember this. I was a child, but like, we're going through an experience. There are people in other countries saying, hey, I went through this. My family experienced this. This is generational trauma. We're seeing it come up again. Here's all these factors of things that are really sketchy. Here's this genocide in this country and in this country and in this. You got the Uyghurs, you've got the kids in Syria, you've got what's going on in like 4 different places in the Middle East. It's like, it's still happening. This
Oh, and you
trauma
know
is
what else?
still
You know what
here
else?
and so real.
B.
That
You know what
Yeah.
else?
what
We
I'm
are a listener supported station. And
Yes.
we
We are a listener
cannot
supported
do
station.
this without you guys.
Mhm.
Right? So once again, we want to thank our audience. We want to thank Rev Radio for being here, right? And we want to thank everybody out there for listening. But most importantly, we are a listener supported station. So any donation, no donation is too small. No donation is not bigger than life itself. So please donate. You can donate to here on the station. You can donate to your favorite host. You can donate to me. You can donate to B. Just donate. Just get involved so we can keep bringing you this amazing content. B, you wanted to say something?
Oh,
I
I
I want to interject on what you were saying, if I may.
yes.
Like right now, what's going on in Palestine is exactly what happened to us.
Yep.
Every place on the planet has experienced that level of trauma, of
Mm-hmm.
an invading group of people come in and take over and restructure your whole history.
Yes.
Try to
Yep.
erase, eradicate it. Because the people that are coming over into Palestine, that is not their homeland. It is
Right.
actually the Palestinians. They started this in the 1800s. They have not been there. This is not a 2,000 plus year war. This war comes from the 1800s.
So again,
1900s.
just a couple generations ago. Like, there are still people who were there as kids who are older folks now saying, hey, this is what's going on. I want to put a pin in that for just so that we get ready, because we're coming up probably a minute and a half before our break. But yeah, I'm really glad that we're having this conversation. I think it's really important. I think a lot of stuff that we've talked about so far is important. I think the collective is waking up aggressively, and I'm really honored to be able to have a platform where we can talk about this stuff. You know, Revolution Radio isn't called such for no reason. We are part of the revolution, and you know, we're all here, we're all waking up, and we're all here to support each other. So, you know, don't just donate to the station. You know, if you find people on other social media that you want to support in other ways, go there too. Subscribe to people's YouTube channels. Go check out Nikki's YouTube channel. Check out ours. Check out any other creators talking about these things that are important to you. Contact them. Be a part of their community. We're going into break. We'll be right back, everybody, after these bumpers. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thank you so much for being here. Great first hour.
Thank you.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Nikki.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
If you're sick of the lies and ready to know thyself, to love thyself, well then tune in to the Loveolution with your hosts, Amy and John Paul, where we speak all about truth, love, and freedom every Tuesday night, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A, right here on Revolution Radio. And remember, only you can free your mind control. Be a Loveolutionary.
Welcome to Coffee Rants with Dan. I am the spiritual anarchist, Dan Arnold, your host. Tune in for what's really happening every Thursday. That's Thursday at 9 a.m. in Studio A on Revolution Radio. They keep us in fear to manipulate us. They want us ignorant so we're easier to enslave. They make us murder one another so they don't have to do it themselves. Only you can break their mind control by healing the contradictions within your belief systems that allow you to accept their lies in the first place. The time has come for us to remember our divinity, who we really are, to return to what we are meant to be, a service to others, to return to nature, and to reclaim our birthright, that which is freedom. The truth will sound belligerent because it is in direct opposition to lies. So get angry, because anger is sacred, and together we can unite and rise. Rise from this darkness. Humanity, assemble.
Do you love topics about history, world events, popular conspiracies, and everything under the sun, while discussing their historical context? Then welcome your host, Trinity, where no topic is off the table, truth is spoken to power, and where your voice can be heard. Here is where you can communicate openly and learn from one another, while respecting our diverse society and figuring out the truth to where we're heading. Join Trinity in a 2-hour roller coaster ride of research, comedy, and interesting content. Made with you in mind, people that matter the most. On Mondays at 12 a.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. Central, only on Revolution Radio Studio B. Be a part of a different way to hear radio.
Check in every Thursday night for the Crypt Rick and Jonathan Show.
Studio A, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at the #1 listener-supported radio station, Revolution Radio.
I want to thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
All right, let's show them what we got now.
All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Meow. Welcome back. It is I, Miss B, your host, your interdimensional space buddy, local space cat looking for some snacks. I just want to give a quick shout out to my cousin Phoebe, who I don't think is listening, but if she ever hears this, happy birthday! I can't believe you're like 20 years old already and about to have a baby. That's wild. I love you so much. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will call you later. And also, big kisses. Also, big shout out and happy birthday to Zach Waldman. Zach was with us about this time last year on the show. Zach is a comedian and a very good friend of mine. So if you want to see a really cool comic magician, you should go out to California and book him. Go to zachwaldman.com. And I think that's his website. And then you can Google him, Zach Waldman. He's the only one that comes up. But yeah, give Zach a happy birthday. And yeah, anyway, back to the show. So I just want to say thank you again to Nikki for joining us. And if you didn't catch the first half, we were having some really enlightening conversations about just the state of mind that everyone is in, and spiritual awakening, and learning to be considerate and self-aware, and taking care of yourself, and focusing on healing and taking the responsibility for healing yourself. And, you know, just be aware of where you are in history too. Like we're experiencing some repetitive moments in history that I thought going through history class personally, we would have maybe avoided these things, but you know, clearly we haven't learned our lessons. So it's not just a matter of healing in your own personal space, but collectively, I think humans need to heal a little bit, because we are having some really unconstitutional experiences as a collective on the planet. And I just want to say thank you again to Nikki for joining us. And as always, Talib is here. And just another quick thank you again to Revolution Radio for giving us this platform to be able to talk about these important issues and these things that, you know, I consider to be the Black history, in that it's been blacked out and censored, and people don't want us talking about the history of America. People don't want us acknowledging where the dark black spots in our history books have come from. And, you know, it's really wonderful that, you know, we have folks like Talib and Nikki who are really versed in being able to talk about these things. And again, like they both said, we're only a couple generations outside of some of this trauma that we all have. And, you know, we ended the last hour talking about stuff going on in like Palestine, for instance, or like, you know, in China with the Uyghur camps, and, you know, in Syria, and just, I think the Congo is still going through it. Like, there are so many terrible things happening in the world right now that people are trying to just kind of turn a blind eye to. And we really have to be aware of what's going on in other parts of the world.
There's 124 active red zones in the world.
Yes.
And red zone is where there's active kinetic warfare, meaning they're actively shooting at each other. There's 124 all over the world.
That's so crazy to me. Like, that's such a big number if you really think about it. It doesn't seem like that with how many people are in the world, but that's a regional experience. Like that's 124 regional experiences. That's millions of people who are in active situations like that. Yeah, war zones. It's
They're in active survival for their life,
yeah.
their mind, their well-being, their children's well-being, life in general, everything.
Mhm.
That's horrible. That's horrendous. And
Truly.
explaining last night to some of the collective that one of the reasons God Source has kept one of the fallen angels, Azazel, in captivity is due to he was the, according to what we have practiced and believe, he was one of the fallen angels that taught man how to make weapons of destruction. And with that being said, he also taught women how to wear makeup. So that's another war.
Yep.
There's multiple wars that's going on. And for the level of crimes against humanity, this is so unacceptable. And the warlords that are the warmongers that create this, they're never the ones that are on the battlefields losing mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, cousins, uncles, grandchildren,
Right.
animals, family pets, things of that nature. They're not experiencing the level of devastation. They're sitting up toasting with champagne, eating caviar at $2,000 a gram, and
Right.
enjoying their lives on their 120-foot yachts, brokering business deals. They're brokering death.
Right. Yeah. My dad was saying that one of his friends recently was saying that we're in an age of neo-feudalism.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were just watching Shogun on Hulu, and it was like we were really processing like um everything um with the samurai and the merchant class and the warlords, and these conversations bring me back to when I did a history lesson in school on the Kokeshi dolls in Japan, which I found to be one of the most horrific stories in history, in the most like disengaged lightheartedness that it's become. Like there's a time where the warlords and those who ran, basically the landlords, were taking food from the farmers and the locals who were growing and caring for everything. Everybody had to pay this huge, tax on regular food, and the locals were starving, and they ended up resorting to cannibalism and eating their children to
Yes.
stay alive. And they made these dolls as a way to memorialize their children. But like the one of the most disturbing parts was they were like, we want it to be cute and acknowledge that like we've lost our family, but we need people to understand that like the heads were made a certain way and the bodies were made a certain way because of how they engaged in the cannibalism. And in the memorialization, they made the heads squeak to represent the screams of the children. And now those are just dolls that are made and given to every child born in Japan as if it's just an acknowledgement of like, hey, you're alive and now you're part of the family. Like, see, everybody's on the shelf. And it's like, there's families with, almost 100 years of history with those dolls on the shelves being like, yeah, we lost so much of our family to this famine and this abuse of the warlords and of the local, guardsmen and people who were supposed to be taking care of us, and those who were ruling class to a degree. This is a trauma that carries over, and they celebrate it in a completely different way. And there's a lot of cultures in the world that have these experiences. We were just talking last hour about how like there's still so much generational trauma from just 2 generations. Two generations ago. And it's, when we're talking about intuitive reading and working on healing and stuff, like I guess I want to get kind of your opinion on what's a way that you feel is the best way to conduct, talking to people who have like a significant amount of like generational trauma. How do you have a particular way that you go about doing a reading, or do you just kind of dive into it? Do you just kind of go like full force?
Well, if someone does not specify what type of reading, what I am going to do is do a general reading. I'm going to put the trauma that exists in your soul, because your soul is not going to lie to me. I'm going to pull the traumas of the generational curses and patterns that have existed in your bloodline. And I'm also going to hone in on some of the mental and emotional traumas that are still lingering to cause trust issues and to cause avoidancy. From there, then I will go into the actual reading to start pulling how your trauma is starting to formulate a pattern. As I formulate that pattern, I go through the time with you to explain to you why these assimilate together to form your pattern of toxicity, and what we can start working towards once the actual reading has been completed. And they're allowed to ask questions in the reading as well. So I don't try to put a time, because most readers will put a time because they feel time is money and money is time. But the prices that I charge are for that time. So you have the ability to express, yes, that's me. I've been through that. I've experienced that. I want you to be able to let me know that this is resonating for you, so I can help document how we're going to move forward towards working on your healing progress. What is the necessary healing modality for you? If I'm qualified in order to take you to that next level, or tell you that I recommend you to go to someone else that can some level of healing. Because basically what tarot card readers are, if they truly take their craft seriously, we tap into people's traumas. You don't come to us and you don't come to our channels. And my channel is Third Eye Consultations on YouTube. You don't come to us because you're not having issues in your love life or your family or your place of work or your finance. Something is affecting that. And you have 7 major chakras that are needed to be in alignment, along with your crown chakra, which is the most important chakra next to your heart chakra. And
absolutely.
So if your crown chakra is off, that means your messages are distorted. You may not understand or misinterpret the messages that you are having a conversation with God, God source, your ancestors, your archangels, and your spirit guides. Your throat chakra, your heart chakra, because you actually have 2 heart chakras, one in the front and one in the So as you start to heal and balance, this is why so many people suffer from heart attacks, strokes. Heart chakra is not open. Your solar plexus, this is where all the, what do we call that fat, it starts with the letter C. That
cholesterol.
Cortisol fat.
It's coming from either it's coming from an imbalanced solar plexus. And that's the seat of your power. That's the seat of your confidence and your self-esteem. So I encourage you to eat something yellow, drink something yellow, wear the color yellow as often as needed.
I'm having this like flashback. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I had this experience a few years ago where I kept getting this message that just kept saying more yellow, more yellow, more yellow. You need more yellow. It also happens that it sounds very similar to somebody in my life at the time's last name. And it was really interesting because there's like this really weird connection there. And I kept getting this more yellow, more yellow, more yellow. And since then I have had a lot of yellow things, colors. Just yellow has become like blue and yellow are kind of a synonymous color with me, because for a long time I felt like I couldn't speak my truth, and I dyed my hair blue once, and it was like people couldn't stop confessing things to me. Everywhere I went, there was like this insane truth coming from people. When I have a lot of yellow, people feel a lot more confident. They feel like they're in tune with themselves. You just yellow drinks, yellow food, just eat some yellow squash, have, some oranges. I drink a lot of lemons, and some people think it's silly, but it's like the colors matter, words matter, all of these things are very in sync. So I just, you're right. You're right. Our chakras are often very misaligned, and a lot of people don't understand that like color balance is important. Like color theory doesn't just exist in simple art. It exists in the world, and it exists in our spirits. And I think being able to find out which part of your chakras is off and being able to indulge in that color therapy is incredibly healing also. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. That's really, I really like your process for reading too. I think that's really incredible. I love that.
Thank you. But you can get someone, this is where the crystals come in, where I will go ahead and you just gave me a concept of another service that I can offer, and I can bundle it. That just
awesome.
So thank you very much. But that you can use citrine. Citrine is very good for solar plexus. It also keeps your money stable as well. Your finances.
Oh, I did not know that.
Citrine is very good for money. So as you continue and do your mantras, where you meditate and you start saying, that vibration in your mouth is what is now going through your entire body to help realign and balance that particular chakra. So as you take the time out during your day to align your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, your heart chakras, your throat chakra. And see, a lot of people suffer from thyroid disease because either they have an overactive throat chakra or an underactive throat chakra. This can be the cause of throat cancer because you are suppressing more so than not. Usually most people that end up with throat cancer is because they have suppressed so much bitterness and so much vile thoughts that they want to express of their hurt and their heartbreak, but they never do. So they become a human doormat. And all of that suppression is trapped in that chakra. So you need some blue agate. Eat something blue.
Yes.
Blue. Drink something blue. Like you said, dye your hair blue, paint your nails blue, whatever floats your boat. But to help heal and balance that chakra, you have oils as well as crystals that can be used. So I incorporate all of this in my healing modalities when people book a consultation for a reading with me. I just don't take you through the standard, oh, well, you having problems in your love life, it's all due to your finances, or your finances are affecting your love life, or blah, blah, blah. I never just take you through it like that. And I had a reader one time, I paid 2 readers. One to do an astrology of past life, and it sucked. I'm sorry to say. And it was a horrible experience. And the second one was another reader, and she's a actually well-known reader on YouTube. And as soon as the time was up, click.
Yeah.
I've
had that too.
I don't work like that. I talk to you because sometimes people need to be heard. I talk to people because sometimes people have walked around for so long without a hug, without some validation from someone that sees them and all their entirety of what they have experienced. And they can't express it on the level that needs compassion and empathy. That is what you're here for. If I'm going to say that I'm a spiritual healer, teacher, and advisor and counselor, I can't just shut you off just because, oh, your 30 minutes are up. That's why I don't have a time. I have a price. And if you're not able to pay the price immediately, let's set you up in payments. So that way, until your final payment is paid in full, then we will go ahead and start your process. And I'm actually very inexpensive at this point, because the base reading starts at $100. The high reading I have goes to $250.
That's not bad at all, especially compared to some of the readers online who are charging like $500 and $600 for like an hour, and it's like, are you crazy?
45 minutes, bro.
Dude, I felt bad asking for $65 once.
Like $300 for 30 minutes. Like,
it's crazy.
You do it 30 minutes unless it's some sort of hypnosis. I don't know,
Yeah.
See, the thing, and you touched on something right there, Talib, that currently I am taking classes to add to what I already do. And I want to tap in deeper, because sometimes all of your trauma is not going to be healed from this lifetime. Sometimes we have to take you back into maybe a series of past lives in order for you to find what is broken, so we can see if we can fix it, or at least tweak it, in order for you to have some balance in this life, where you can have some level of peace in this lifetime.
Well,
past life regression has really changed my life.
Personally, what I help people with is I use EFT, which is tapping, and I also use the neuro-linguistic programming part of it, with the statements, declarations, and I walk people through it, so if it's about like, maybe it's their finances or what have you, it'll be like, even though I'm faced with all these money troubles and I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what to do and life is just dragging me down and I just can't stand this, I choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And that's the setup statement. We go through that 3 times, and then we start to tap in, to all the places. Sometimes I'll take them through the 9 gamut.
Beautiful.
And then I do a lot of the like for the trauma stuff. Like when I use the tapping, I'll do the thing with the unconscious mind, right?
Yeah.
So I'll say, I don't know how I got this problem or where it started. But unconscious mind, you know exactly where this began.
Yes,
right? Unconscious mind, I'm telling you, I don't need it anymore. I would like, and I go through a process and I do this with people. And the cool thing about the EFT is that if I start you on a number, like if we go into something and I'm like, well, give it a number value of how frustrated it is or how bad it is. If it's an 8 or 7, just say whatever the number is. And then when we're finished with it, I'll ask them what the number is now. And the number is never what they start with, right? And I just noticed that when you're helping people, if you don't give them a number value and you go in, they don't really realize how much work you might have gotten through, because they didn't consciously start out and say, okay, I'm here, right? So we're after the process, okay, if you were here and we did the process, where are you now?
Right.
Yeah. And I like to reach for like tangible, like I hear what you're like the tangible results that a person can achieve, because I believe in neuroplasticity, right? I believe that we could do anything, like everything's happening right now. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow, right? That you have no past. It's all one, right? There's infinite versions of you existing now. The reason you are tuned to this one, because this is the one you are aware of, right? When you learn to bring focus to your awareness, then you can bring your awareness to variations of self, right?
True.
And I try to remind people, you're not here to evolve. You're not here to, God is complete. God created everything and created you to experience himself through you, as you. So you and God are one, right? And so therefore, when you wake up in the dream, God put it, as it said in the Bible, on the 7th day, God rested. It never said, and after that, he woke up.
Right.
And got back to work. It never said that. God is still in the dream that he created for himself. You are that. I am you. And the only reason we can experience it is from what we call self separation. There is a me, there is a you. But that is the illusion. There is no me and you. You see what I'm saying? I'm pushing you out.
You're me. I'm Zoe. She's me. We're all each other. We're different aspects of
each other, experiencing ourselves through a variation of self, right? And that's why when you look at things where people do that piss you off, it's not them pissing you off. It's the parts of yourself you're seeing that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly so.
And this is where true empathic and being empathetic and sympathetic truly comes from. Is seeing yourself in others.
I say that with serial killers. I say that with rapists. I say that with pedophiles. Do you understand? And I say that with people that are incestuous in their communities. I say things because you have to understand somewhere along the line, something happened.
Mm-hmm.
This soul came here to have this experience that is why there is not to be any judgment. There's to be a level of understanding. So when one night, I was doing a reading for the collective and I was on live and we hit incest, showed up in a reading. And I explained to them, I said, okay, I hear all of the folks talking about incest, but let's look at it for what it really is. Excuse me. You have a lot of communities out here that feel safe in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
They have been raised together. They understand each other culturally.
Mm-hmm.
They eat the same types of food. They wear the same types of clothes. They do the same types of work. They're familiar with how they celebrate. They are familiar with their religious practices and beliefs, everything. So to marry outside of your race or your culture or your family seems unnatural.
Yeah.
Because the simple fact, I know that this person was raised in a loving home because it is my home. I know that this person is going to make sure that if I'm not well, I'm going to be cared for. I know that this person is going to see to it that I have clean clothes, that I have nutritious food to eat, and that I can laugh at something that we both can assimilate with because we grew up in the same household.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit up there and judge them, do you understand why you're judging them? Based off of what concept of what you have been taught, based on the programming of what is here on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
The programming is so heavy on this planet until we have bought into the false indoctrination of the programming. Until you are lost. That's why they call you sheep. They call us sheep.
Mm-hmm.
You white sheep, those are lambs to slaughter because they're still asleep. The ones they call the black sheep, that's because you're awake. You don't fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And you stand out.
But you're still on the farm.
But you're still on the farm, exactly. When you start realizing
the difference between a Brero and a jackass.
Yes. Understanding the simulation that you are in, henceforth, Simpsons, you start understanding the programming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my whole thing has always been this: the world is a story. The only way you could trap something that is immortal and timeless is to convince it that it has limitations, that it will die, that there's a very well-crafted story of the world that no one can actually tangibly prove. You see what I'm saying? But we have this great belief in it. And we have so-called dedicated scientists and anthropologists and archaeologists that go out and study these histories and come back and tell us. But we never look at the fact that who they are, the way they was raised, how they perceive the world, and what is the invested interest in the story that they have crafted. You see what I'm saying? And the invested interest is to keep us out allocating our mental ability to manipulate. And first of all, that you don't learn manifestation. You are a manifestation. That's one, right? Like you're manifesting your reality every second that you are perceiving it, right? Mm-hmm. So why aren't you experiencing what you want to experience? Well, because you are experiencing wanting. Wanting isn't having. Mm-hmm. And they keep us in a state of want.
Yes.
And we think by wanting something and asking for the want, that we're going to get what we want. But the only thing we're going to get is more want.
Exactly. You are your own co-creator. You co-create with the universe, God's source, whatever it is that you believe in. If you believe that you don't have, what you just told the universe is that I don't have. They don't understand this language, but they understand your frequency. And that frequency that you emit out into the universe is like a huge receiver. It's going to pick it up. And it's going to bounce back to you just exactly what you said.
Yeah, you're going
to so that you are receiving more of it. Mm-hmm. So just like you explained, your perception forms your reality.
And now we know why TV is on 24/7, 7 days a week. There's no more fall season lineup. There's no more winter specials. No, it's just TV, go, 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 go. Matter of fact, it was like, hey, forget giving you an episode. How about you eat the whole show today? Eat the whole thing up. Like, because they knew the purpose of school was not to just educate you, but it was to remove the imagination from children. Because imagination is how it's not the labor of our hands. This is just the vehicle of experience that we have to experience in this world what we're mentally creating, right? Yeah. You don't have to lift hands to actually do all of this stuff. That's not what's making it happen. And they know this. That's why there was a movie called Inception. And the whole and what made that, what people really missed was, it wasn't just about him jumping through his dreams. It was about the power of an idea. That's what that movie was really about. And when you think about that, all they have been doing is crafting ideas and putting it in our head and watching it run and just having the things set up to be there for what they inevitably know will come from what you're thinking, right? This is what I'm seeing. Like, and there is a conscious wake up that's happening, but it's being guided. You see what I'm saying? It's being misguided. There should never be a term like toxic positivity. That's what you call a literal oxymoron.
Oh my God. That is a horrible term for anybody to even talk about in the form of consciousness. The community has taken a major hit because we've had so many so-called conscious aware people that have misguided, misinformed, and given people a false paradigm to believe in, and they run upon that. I have seen so many people tell people certain things, and it is up to you to learn to use your discernment. Mm-hmm. That is one of the
keywords.
Discernment about what you are absorbing, what you are listening to, because your body is now like a whole antenna. If you trust and listen to your intuition, and I mean listen to your intuition, it is going to tell you, your Shanana is going to say, that's not it. But we have been programmed, yet again, not to believe in what we feel. Right. I believe instead of teaching children just, the basic standards in school, they should be taught about astrology. They should be introduced to creativity at a very early age. I taught my son origami when he was 3, 4.
Oh, wow. Dude, origami.
By the age of 5, he was drawing his own comic books.
That's amazing. That's how my dad and I were.
So I've taught my children to express themselves in a healthy way in some aspects. But at the end of the day, I also know too that you eventually will no longer be in control of any choices and decisions that anybody makes, especially when they are basically aware of their own mind. And you have to learn to respect that mind. But you also have to be willing to be able to help guide that mind in a healthy, positive, creative manner.
Exactly.
Are so smart. God, they're smart. They're highly intelligent. And we have a new wave of ancestors that are here that are highly knowledgeable. The level of wisdom that they carry is unbelievable.
Yo, these kids coming in the world today is awesome.
Dude.
Well, I just gotta say, I done
Oh my
seen
gosh.
a bunch of kids, man, doing things like, you know, even going back to their homes, like from their past life. I'm like, what in the world? There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to say this though, because we already, you know, the time is moving so fast. This is great. So we always do this on the second hour, and this is our thing. It's like I had to do it, B. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to. We always ask our guests about aliens. Got to ask you about your take on extraterrestrial life. Have you had an experience, and where you feel is some of this, and also what is your number one conspiracy theory you think people really need to know about that isn't a conspiracy theory? And if you have no experience with aliens, that's fine. It's totally cool. We just always ask everybody.
The ice wall in Antarctica.
Ooh.
That is not a conspiracy theory. That is actual factual. That's why they don't want you there. That's why they don't want you in the Grand Canyon either.
Oh yeah, I know about that.
Will take you all the way into Africa.
I'm sorry, what?
The Grand Canyon, there are passages that will take you all the way to the continent of Africa.
Well,
oh my God, my mind is blown. I never even thought about that before.
Did you know that's also one of the so-called entrances to Shangri-La? There are 13 entrances to Shangri-La on the planet Earth. Well,
when you said that you loved her deck, what was the name of the deck?
The Lord of the Rings deck?
The Lord of the Rings. That is nothing more than what is going on this planet. Inner Earth, outer Earth. When you are talking about, there was a Colonel Byrd.
Yes.
40s. Admiral, thank you.
Admiral Byrd. Oh my goodness. That's like one of my conspiracy theories that has come out as more factual than conspiracy. Oh my God, I'm so happy to hear about this.
I have never seen an alien for myself, but when I lived in Florida in 2009, there was a extensive meteor shower right where we could see it. I lived in a very prestigious community in Coconut Grove.
Ooh.
And we were sitting up off a $3 million villa, sitting up there looking on top of, looking at the sky. And my fiance and I, at that time, we were sitting up there drinking a couple of Coronas. And he liked to smoke. I smoked cigarettes. So we were sitting up there, and out of the blue, we just started seeing this shower, and I started recording it. Then in Hollywood, Florida, and it's not that far away from the Hard Rock Seminole Casino, they were blowing fireworks. So while we were over there in Young Circle, we happened to see, I saw it first, no one else saw it, because we were with some friends and we were popping champagne. And we were watching them blow the fireworks from the Seminole Hard Rock Casino. And there was one firework that just kind of, I don't know what that was, got stuck. And it looked like it was like the color of the moon, luminescent. And it hovered right off the corner of the condos that we were at because we were on the pool level. And in the process, it sat there. And I said, oh my God. I said, baby, look, that is not a fucking firework. That is something else. It was an orb. And it tried to disguise itself like a firework. It came up red, it turned orange, and then it became luminescent white, moon white.
So,
it's catty corner of the building for about maybe a good 2 to 3 minutes. And I believe it actually realized that I was watching it. It stayed there, and then it didn't bounce. It just shot straight up.
Yep.
I said,
oh my gosh.
I'm glad we asked you. See, she did have an experience. She asked this because we're very open. I used to not be, everybody, you know, who knows me, was not very open about this because it's real. Like,
yeah.
We both are. Me and Zoe, we actually met on a spaceship during an abduction.
Wow.
Oh, it gives me goosebumps every time we talk about it too. It's
That's how
wild.
we actually, and then it's how we actually met each other because somebody introduced us to each other. That was a mutual friend, and it was like, oh shit, we both because it was very much like, yo, it's you. Like,
yeah, we shook hands and I was like, I know you from somewhere.
Yeah,
and we both looked at each other and it was like, it's nice to see you again. Like,
so I've been abducted like so many times I can't even count. Like, it's not even countable at this point. Like, I've been through regression for it, the whole thing. Like, it's been proven. I got this device they put in my head right here.
Oh my God.
They tried to take me to Nellis Air Force Base to have this neuroscientist investigate this thing in my head, and I was like, hell no. but yeah, so we always have. Yeah.
You know what? There are other, and I tell people all the time, I run with a collective that are very stubborn, very smart, very highly intellectual people. I have a lot of RH negative groupings that.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Some of them have the ability to, they are gifted with telekinesis. We're talking about living avatars that control and manipulate the elements.
Oh, yeah.
With thought process.
So, my fairy godmother talks about this a lot, Solaris Blue Raven. I think you'd really enjoy her books and hearing some of her information on that, because she talks about
guys together, man.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to have you on another show talking with her.
I would be honored to do so. Moderator, you know my mod, Talib, that's in my chat.
Yeah, G-Leds.
Yeah, that's my baby. My baby is very, very gifted. She has been through the MK Ultra. So she can assimilate to what you're talking about, sweetheart.
I've already, you know, well, because it happened when I've been happening since I was like born. So yeah, I went through the whole the my lab. We had, you know, I'm telling you, like I got receipts too. That's what makes it so cool. Like I got actual receipts. Like they surrounded my house. They blue beamed. Like the men in black tried to abduct my son out of school.
Whoa.
Yeah, like the whole class froze on him too. My son, one time, we was out here. Everybody in the neighborhood, they came running out their house. There was a portal that opened up over my house, and it all red light came out. It looked like Stranger Things. It was a cloud. It was red, and there was this entity at my son's window that tried to punch him.
Yo, get out of here!
Yeah. And when it hit the window, it made a thun. It sounded like a boom. It literally sounded like a boom. I'm in the back. I could see the redness over my house. I'm like, oh my God. And then the ground was shaking. I run to the front and I see the thing close up. by my son's thing, and I'm like, oh no. And then people are coming outside, like, what was that? What was that? And I'm like, did you see it? Did you see it? They like, we didn't see that. We felt the ground shake.
But that's
Yeah.
it. The cloaking mechanism is crazy. How they use that cloaking mechanism to pop in, pop out at any given time on you.
Absolutely.
So I believe what you say, love. And there have been many people that have told me about their instances. One of my instructors, when I was in college, one of my professors talked about her dad when he worked at Area 51. But we couldn't get into it the way we wanted to get into it.
You know, I went out there with I went out to Area 51 with Ancient Aliens.
Shut up.
Yeah, I sure did. I went out there we went to the Yellow Jacket, which is the spot everybody like to go to. Then we had a guy, they paid a lot of money. He was a professional. This guy took us down a road that once we got down this road in the middle of the desert, you didn't even know how to get back. That's how vast the land was. He took us to a mine that was supposed to be a back entrance into the place. So into Area 51. So I'm like, I'm not going in a mine.
No.
Okay, that's crazy. And if it's the entrance and they come rolling up here, we could disappear. But I'm with the crazy guy with the crazy hair. Giorgio. She always, because I don't no respect for this man, so I never remember his name, right? But they like, no, we're going in there. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch the cars. Back. They went up. Let me tell you what happened. This all happened in less than 20 minutes. They went up the hill. They started going to mine. I went down. By the time I sat in the car, I look out the window. There is a cloud rolling in that is literally black. It rolls in less than 5 minutes, which means it had to be doing something like 80 miles an hour to get to me that fast. As soon as it hit, it was a blizzard, freezing Arctic cold. In less than 10 minutes, there's literally 5 inches of snow on the ground. They come running down because they have no gear to protect the equipment because they didn't come prepared. It was sunny. It's like April.
It's like 85, 95 degrees out there. Like, where did the snow come from?
As soon as they get in the car, we turn around. I'm like, we got to get out of here. We drive. As soon as we get to that little area right outside the little mindset, the sun just broke. Ooh, it was hot and warm.
No.
And everyone got sick.
What?
All of us. Everybody. It wasn't a cold. It was like a literal flu. Like sweating and can't eat and wanted to poop and vomit. And everybody, even the weird dude with the hair, everybody got sick. So I think it was an actual interest or something's going on up there.
Oh, for sure.
And then when we drove out, you could see the truck, the SUVs.
The only crazy thing I've ever experienced is I have had the experience to actually see the Grim Reaper in my home.
That is an unsettling visual. I have also seen a Grim Reaper.
Was it a tall shadow figure that would look solid though? And it didn't go nowhere when you looked away and looked back at it?
Oh, he took off when he saw me. And I took off after him. Yeah. And I said, why did you run? What are you here for? Who do you want? He disappeared. As soon as he realized I recognized he was there, I jumped up and he took off.
Oh, wow.
He just disappeared into thin air right in front of my face.
That's so funny. My experience is a little bit funny in my, I mean, it's funny to me. It's pretty traumatizing to most of the other people who hear it. But in my comedic style, this one time I killed myself. And it was like, I don't mean to jest, but it just, the whole experience, like looking back is still so wild. But I ended up in this like white space. I just call it like the white space. It was just nothing. It was almost like being in like an empty office building. Everything was just white, had this weird echo, and it was just empty. It was just like this in between dimension. I don't know. And I was wandering around, and there was nothing. It was almost like there used to be bank buildings that had these plastic covers over like the lights and stuff, so it was like kind of a white light, but it was just sort of like funky. It has a weird smell, it has a weird sound to it. And I'm just like walking down this really long hall that seemed to just literally go forever, and I finally came across like a door, and in it was just a mop and a broom that fell out. And in that moment, I looked down at my feet and realized that my flesh had sloughed off of my skeleton into a puddle beneath me. Yo, girl, it gives me goosebumps talking about it. There's so much more to it, but in that moment I looked up, and there was a Grim Reaper. There was a Reaper just standing there next to a portal, who was like, "Sorry, what do you think you're doing here? Did you get what? You're not on the list. You can't be here." And I remember just kind of standing there and being like, "What is happening?" And it was like, "Yeah, what indeed is happening? How are you here? What do you do? Go away. I'm going to get in so much trouble. You are not on the list. You can't be here. How'd you get here?" And I remember this booming voice that just came from I don't know where. It was just surrounding me. It shook what was left of my skeleton. And it's the only description I have is that it was God. It was just God source speaking, and it was just like in my bones. And it was a very calming but like terrifying experience. And I had a conversation with God source and the Reaper, and the puddle of me went off into the portal with the Reaper and had separated itself. And God was like, I really, you can go with the rest of you, or you can go back and finish what I need you to finish. I have things I need from you. I need you. Please consider. You don't have to. It's your choice. You free will. You can go, or you can go back. And I ended up going back, but I remember seeing how startled that being was, because it was like, hold up. First of all, how do you see me? Second, what are you doing? Get out. Go away. Like, you are so not supposed to be here.
That is surreal, honey. Both of what you've experienced, that's some surreal shit. I know a young lady that I read for from time to time. She explained to me that she saw a skinwalker.
No, thank you. I
don't fool with those.
Talk about spooky. No, thank you. That is like one of my deepest fears after living with a friend out like on a res for a very short period of time. She was like, close the windows at night. Don't answer the door. If you hear voices, no, you didn't. Just mind business. Don't be white. Just sit. Just go to bed. Just
white. The hell?
Don't do it.
But that does happen. And there are a lot of unexplained things. And like I said, if they were really to pull the simulation down and let you see all the different 9 realms and the different that live on the 9 different realms, man, we would lose our shit.
Absolutely. People would just cease to exist.
Yeah.
They would just break.
Is really sitting here on this planet and has been here before you were here. And they've been here a very long time. There are so many people that speak of the different beings. I remember 25 years ago, I was sitting up, me and my son, having coffee and watching CNN. We watched CNN for almost 4 hours, guys. I watched CNN, and they were declassifying 7 to 19 species of aliens that live on this planet. Now, quote unquote, they say that Queen Elizabeth was a reptilian, standing anywhere from 7 to 12 feet tall, weighing anywhere from 1,800 to 2,200 pounds, and she had wings. So that makes her a sea cart. The sea carts are the highest hierarchy of reptilians. Those are like the kings and queens.
First, I met these creatures, yo.
Huh?
I met these creatures.
Whoa.
First of all, I met them. The 201 that's been with me took me to
wait. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, we're coming up on the end of the show. We only have 2 minutes left. So I would love to continue a little bit of this conversation with you after we're off air, because I'm I've got time. I would love to dive into some of this. But I just, yeah, right. And we get so deep into this sometimes. Like, it's really hard for us to just have 2 hours. At first, people were like, "Can you handle 2 hours?" And I was like, "Boy, can we?" So I just want to put a pause on that for just a second. We're going to put a pin in it. I want to say thank you again, Nikki, for joining us. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Yeah, it's been amazing. I would love to have you come back anytime. As long as we can figure out how things go after we don't have Skype anymore. Like, we will definitely keep in touch, because I would love to have some more conversations and just dive in with you about some stuff. But I just want to say, stay tuned for the Crip, Rick, and Jonathan show next. I don't know what they're going to talk about, but stay tuned, hang out. Thank you for listening to us. Feel free to go to my website, missb.net. Check out, I've got all of our links between me and Talib, and our shared links for the Omnium Gatherum show. Go to our YouTube, subscribe, check out our videos, check out Nikki's stuff on YouTube, Third Eye Consultations. If you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com/missbthecat. I've got her links ready to go. Follow us on Instagram, all that stuff. All your support means everything to us. We are small creators, but we have a big platform, and we just want to say we appreciate you. We're so glad you were here to join us. We're so glad we were able to share this space with you. I want you guys to go check Nikki's stuff out, hang out with us, shoot us messages, seek her for counsel. Just, if you know someone else who needs counseling, like, send them her way. Connect with us and stay tuned. And yeah, it's just happy Thursday, everybody. I love you. You guys are amazing. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. Don't forget, it is a blood moon eclipse coming up. So go outside and sing to the moon and go take